Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another PlayStation 4 review. Today's review is for Lonely Mountains Downhill. This is by Thunderful Publishing and I must thank them very much because they have provided me with a review copy. However, rest assured that will not make any difference to how I review a game. I will always be honest and fair. Now what do we get with Lonely Mountains Downhill? What we get here is a game that, if for those of you who've played like the Trials games, you know, the Ubisoft games, the motorbike based games, where you essentially go down tracks and try and improve on your times, etc, etc. This game is very similar to that, however it's mountain bikes, not motorbikes, and it's a really fun little game, this, and quite an addictive little game. So essentially you have 4 mountains with this game, and each mountain poses different challenges, if you like. You've got an initial explore, so you will go down each mountain initially, and you only start with one mountain, you have to unlock the others. So you'll go down and have an exploration ride, so you'll get used to the mountain, go down it, and then you will, after you've done that, you were given a couple of options. You can then either go down it in a time trial and try and do it in a certain time, or you can go down it and try and crash less than the number that it gives you. It's something like less than 20 crashes or something like that. So different things will happen depending on what you choose. You might unlock new customizational options for your rider or your bike, or you might unlock the next trail. Each mountain has something like 3 or 4 trails, and each trail has a number of options for you to complete. So you've got your exploration, your time trial, and then you've got like a difficulty mode, expert mode, that kind of stuff, and they all offer different challenges. But the idea is to unlock the trails and then the mountains and try and make your way down and through them with the best time that you can possibly do. Now, what are my thoughts on this game? Well, I think this is a really fun and addictive game. It's a completely inoffensive game. It's one that, if you enjoy those types of games like the Trials games, games that are going to give you a little bit of a personal challenge, they can frustrate, but is ultimately quite rewarding, trying to get a personal best and improve on your time going down a mountain, then I think this is the game for you. It's got quite a unique aesthetic to it, this game. It's got really cute cartoony graphics, but also the sounds that you hear, there's no like booming soundtracks or anything. All you're kind of hearing as you're going down these mountains is like countryside noises, like waterfalls and birds cheeping and cowbells or goat bells, whatever they are on Swiss mountains, I don't know. So it's a really relaxing game to play, and it's got quite a unique feel to it. Now, a game like this lives and dies on its controls, and I'm happy to report that this game is super responsive to the controls, and the controls are very, very simple. And on the PlayStation 4, you get a couple of options when you start on how you want to control your rider, and it's basically just with a thumbstick. And I've found it really quite easy to control the rider, and then you click right 2 to pedal, left 2 to brake, and then the X button to sprint. And using all those, you've got to navigate your way down the mountains, and it's really, really very responsive controls. Now that's not to say you're not going to crash, because trust me, you are. I crashed a lot, but you never really feel, not always, there are some times, and I'll talk about those in a minute, that it's the game's fault. It always feels like it was your mistake why you crashed. There are a couple of instances where the camera's not really your friend. Very, very occasionally you lose sight of your rider just for a split second, and then you'll crash, or you're just not 100% which way to go, and you'll go the wrong way and crash. Now that's the fun of learning the track, you could argue, as well, to some degree, and you're right, it is. But there are very, very few occasions where you don't feel like you feel like it was the game's fault rather than yours why you crashed. Each mountain as well offers light alternative routes, if you like. If you really want to cut out a split second here and there, you can go a different route to maybe the safest route. There might be a little bit more of a risque route, ever so slightly, to try and cut down your time. But it's a fun game to do it. There are upgradables here. By that I mean you can change how your rider looks with different coloured costumes. You can change the colour of your bike, and eventually you will be able to unlock better bikes, faster bikes, more responsive bikes as and when you play through this game. So it's very, very addictive gameplay. It's one of those that you want to get right. You'll crash. I think the checkpoints are actually quite forgiving as well. Each mountain you'll get about 6 or 7 checkpoints. Once you get through a checkpoint, and if you crash, you'll go back to that checkpoint. So it's not too harsh, the game, as well, in punishing you if you do crash, because it's part of the fun, crashing on a game like this as well. So the checkpoints are reasonably forgiving, I think, and it's really addictive because you really do try and get through. And what I found was I crashed a lot on the exploration part of the level, the first level, and then the second time I went round it, it had kind of embedded in my memory, and I crashed far less the second time down. So it was very, very addictive game. Now, I did find some of the time trials times to be a little bit unforgiving. They give you these times, and I never really made them personally. But as a fun, addictive game, nice and cheap to play, I would recommend it because it is quite a fun game to play. I've had some good times playing it for a few hours, and it's one of those pick up and play games. So I'm going to give this game a 6 out of 10. I think there is an audience out there for a small little indie game like this. It's not harsh, it's not punishing, it's quite addictive, quite fun, and I think there is definitely an audience for a game like this. So I hope you like this review. I hope you found it useful. If you did, like and subscribe, and of course I will be back with more content on Screen Stars very, very soon.